Welcome to this online training of PRI.M.E project. This time we are going to learn more about easy to read with our partners, expert partners, PSONI from Gdańsk, from Poland, and GDC from Lithuania. So now I will give the floor to Kasia from PSONI to let us know more about easy to read.
Hello, everyone. Good day to all of you. Before I start talking about easy to read, I would like to make a short introduction, a few things that I think we should know. First of all, as you all know, we do not only communicate via text. Most of the time, when people communicate, they communicate verbally. And this is why people dealing with easy to read nowadays do not only talk about easy text, but they also talk about easy language. Those of you, and I guess all of you, have ever tried learning a foreign language, and you know that there are 6 language fluency levels. It's A1 and 2, B1 and B2, C1 and C2. So C2, C1 and C2, this is the level which is used mostly by people who are very educated, people who are professionals, who are specialists in certain area. B1 and B2, this is the level that most of us use. This is an average language user in any language. We are all on B1 or B2 level, but there is also a group of people that uses the language on the level A1 or A2. And these are also people with intellectual disability. This is the level of the language that most of them use. So when we communicate with these people, not only via the text, but also verbally, this is the language level that we should use also speaking to them. So it's not only about writing and reading, but it's also about the way we speak. The other distinction I would like to make is the distinction between easy and plain language. And this is probably the time to share my presentation because I have this information in my presentation. So just as I said, there are these 6 fluency levels, and plain language is B1 and B2 level. This is the language or text dedicated for average person, for each of us. And the aim of this kind of language or text is to make text or information accessible for each of us. Because as you all know, and I'm sure each of you has experienced it, that some texts, some very formal ones prepared by lawyers, doctors, different kinds of specialists, are difficult for us to understand. And now it is obligatory for most of the institutions to prepare the text in a plain form to make it accessible and understandable for us. And this is the difference between plain language and easy language, because the target group is completely different. So just as I have said, plain language is dedicated for an average user, while easy language or easy text is used for people with, for example, intellectual disability, or people who use a language, for example, English, as not their first language, people who have problems with reading or writing. It's also about people with Parkinson, people with Alzheimer, elderly people, sometimes children. So it is something different and something more than the plain language. The need for easy to read was first recognized by Inclusion Europe. It is an international organization based in Brussels, which supports people with intellectual disability, but also their environment, professionals and families. And they first recognized the need for easy to read and started working on it with their local branches, because Inclusion Europe has its local branches in Europe, but they also network other organizations supporting people with intellectual disability. But why do we need easy to read? Why do we need easy text? This is probably the moment where I would like to share the floor with JDC. And I would like to ask them to explain what is the reason for, why is there a need to have an easy to read text. I will stop sharing and give the floor to JDC members. Egle and Vidas, I think it's your turn.
Everybody, my name is Vidas. I'm really sorry. I have just few minutes to be here with you. I am really respecting you, but I have an, uh, an an appointment with my doctor. But in the same time, I have a problem. Um, I have I have an appointment. I have an appointment with a phlebologist, but but I am not sure what 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 that means. Can and but 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 I am not sure what that means. Can can anyone ex can anyone explain it to me? Would it be easier to understand this doctor specialization if you if if you see a picture?
Yes, it will be better for us to know what does it mean.
Yes, for everybody for everybody a picture would make it much clearer. And and I have uh, yeah, and I have one more problem today. Doctor gave Doctor gave me such an instructions. Please read it. I understand in this information some something is very important. But what exactly important? I am confused. If me if me and you if me and you would receive information if me and you would receive information in easy to read lang in easy in easy to read language, suppose for me and for you, it would be much clearer. So today my mission and your mission is to, is is to to teach people around us easy to easy to read and easy and easy to understand language. Thank you for your thank you for your thank you for your thank you for your help, and I am um and I am so and I am sorry, but I need to be punctual for my doctor. Have a great have a great have a great training session.
Thank you, Vidas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the thing that Vidas has shared with us is extremely important. And now probably most of you understand why it's easy to read and easy to speak, I would say, so important for us. The access to communication and information, accessible information and communication, is guaranteed to people with disabilities by the Convention on the Rights for Persons with Disabilities. Information that help people make choices, take good decisions, and let them have independent life. All these kinds of information should, first of all, be prepared and easy to read. And the example that Vidas has shared was exactly something like that. This was something very closely connected with his life, with the situation that he's going to face, but he was not able to prepare well because he could not understand the information that he received from his carers about the doctor that he's going to visit, and from the doctor himself, that did not explain clearly to Vidas how he's supposed to prepare to the visit. Easy to read is something that people deal with all over the world, and there is already quite a lot of research. So things that we do and standards that we use are really evidence-based. And we can be sure that using these standards, we can prepare a text that is really easy and is really understandable and accessible for people that are using it. The first standards, as you can see, have been prepared by Inclusion Europe, together with partners from 8 European countries, during the project called Pathways to Adult Education for People with Intellectual Disabilities. And these are the standards that we are going to discuss today. So the first standard, because in fact it is a standard, is that before you start preparing or working on an easy to read text, it is important that you learn as much as possible about your target group. Just as I have said in the beginning, there might be different target groups. It's not only people with intellectual disability, but this might be also other groups of people. And it is important for you to learn as much as possible, as much as you can about the group. In this way, you can avoid making mistakes. So you should know how much people can understand. For example, some time ago, we were working on a text considering sailing. And it is obvious that for people living in Gdańsk, just like we do, close to the sea, some of the words connected with sailing are easy to understand because these are the words that they can hear every day during their life. But for people living, for example, in the south of Poland, who have no access to sea, who do not experience sailing very often, some of the words might be difficult and they may not understand them. So you have to know what people know, where they live, what their everyday life is like. You also have to remember that when you prepare a text that is supposed to easy, but is addressed to people, to adult people, you should avoid vocabulary that you use when talking to children, because you are speaking or you're talking or writing for adults. So avoid childish vocabulary. So now let's move on to the more detailed standards. The first group of standards is connected with words that we use in easy to read. So this is pretty obvious that it's easy text, so the words should be easy, and the words should be the ones that people know. If there are some difficult words and you cannot avoid using them, you have to use a difficult word, it is good to explain them. Just as you can see in this example in the slide, immunization protects your baby from some diseases. Immunization means a doctor or nurse gives your baby a needle with a vaccine inside. The vaccine is the medicine that protects your baby from some diseases. Immunization is a difficult word. I myself even had to check how to pronounce it. Yes, because I didn't know. So I guess it might be a difficult word for a user with intellectual disability. So it is important to explain what it is. While explaining difficult words, it is also pretty useful to use examples that come from the people's everyday life and that will make understanding for them easier. And on your right side, you have some more rules concerning using words and vocabulary while preparing a text. So first of all, it is advised to be careful when using pronouns. It's better to talk about the actual person instead of using he, him, it, she, etc. It is also very important to use the same words to describe the same thing throughout your document. So whenever you talk about the same thing or write about the same thing in the text, use the same word to describe it. It is also very important to avoid difficult ideas such as metaphors, which are really difficult for people with intellectual disability to understand. It is also very important not to use phrases or words of vocabulary from other languages unless they are well known and recognized by people and used by people with intellectual disability or people that are your target group. We know that there are, for example, some English words in our language that we use every day, and most of the people can recognize it. But if it's something that we do not use frequently, it's better to avoid it. It's also better to avoid using initials. Wherever it's possible, it's better to use the full word. Numbers may also be a problem for people with intellectual disability. So to make the text more understandable for them, it's better to use expressions like a lot of, many, a little, a few, instead of numbers. And now a short task for you. You have a short text about the European Solidarity Corps. And I would like you to work on this text and rewrite it in easy to read, to make it accessible and understandable for people with intellectual disability. You have 5 minutes to do the task. Okay, I think you should be ready by now. So this is the suggested answer. Of course, it's not the best one. Okay, you can have a different one. It is possible. But as you can see, what is important is that we avoid abbreviations here, and we also avoid numbers here, and make the text easier for people to understand and make the text more accessible. You can have a look at it and compare it to your version. Just as I'm saying, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. Okay, and now let's move on to sentences. So it is important when you speak and when you write to make sentences short. It is also important to use words like you to make the text or your speech more direct and to talk directly to the person you are communicating with. Just as you can see in the example. During elections, you decide who can speak for you, sorry for the spelling mistake, and make choices for you. For example, in your town or city, when you elect a new mayor, or in your country, when you elect a new president, when you make this piece of text more direct, it's easier for a person to understand it. It is also important to avoid negative sentences and use positive ones instead. So it's better to say you should stay until the end of the meeting, unless you should not leave before the end of the meeting. It is also helpful and important to use active rather than passive forms. So for example, it's better to say the doctor will send you a letter instead of you will be sent a letter. Active forms and positive forms are easier to understand. It is also important to start a new sentence, each new sentence in a new line, and never split a word into 2 lines. It's also important to fit one sentence in a line. If you cannot do it, it's important to cut the sentence in a way that people naturally pause when they say the sentence, just as you can see in the example. It's better to write, the way this sentence is cut is easy to read. Then, the way this sentence is cut is not as easy to read, and you can see that it's not easy to read, yes? So just cut it in the place where you would naturally stop while speaking. Use headings that are clear and that explain people what the text is going to be about, just as you can see in the example. You can get help with this book. Okay, so it's clear what the text is going to be about. And here you have another task, a short text about PRI.M.E. And now you have 10 minutes to prepare it in easy to read, remembering the standards concerning words and sentences that have been prepared so far. 10 minutes to do it. Okay, so here is a suggested text, suggested answer, what it should look like. As you can see, it's a bit longer than the original text, because first of all, we have to explain what PRI.M.E. is, okay? PRI.M.E. is an international project. We want people with disabilities to travel abroad as independently as possible. And then we explain everything that might be difficult for people to understand. A need analysis report, a document with the needs of people. First, we will ask people about their needs, etc., etc. Okay, so this is what it might look like. Just as before, your text might look differently, but it does not mean that it's not correct. The most important thing is if it's really accessible and understandable for people it's prepared for. Okay, it's not only about the words and the sentences that we use when preparing a text, but it's also about how you arrange a text on a page, because this is also important for understanding and making the text accessible. So one of the things that is important is that we do not use lists with commas when we want to list things, but we use bullet points to do it because it's easier to understand, easier to read. It is also important to align the text to the left side of the page and not to justify your text. It's also very important. I know that it looks nicer that when it's justified, but it's not accessible and it's not easy to understand. Just as you can see in the example. You should avoid putting too much text on one page, and also leave space between paragraphs, because it's important to divide the text into paragraphs and leave space between those paragraphs. It is also pretty useful to use the numbers, to number the pages, because then when you are using a text during a meeting, for people, it's easy to find a certain part of the text that you are referring to. It is also to use a good format. The best ones are A4 and A5, and I'm sure you will see easy to read text in both of those formats. They are both okay, and they are both accessible. It is also important to think about the size of your document. The shorter, the better. The text should not be too long. It is also important to use the fonts that are clear and easy to read. Arial is the most recommended font, but you may also use Calibri or Tahoma, but never use serif fonts because they make it difficult for people with an intellectual disability to read. It's also important not to use any background to make the text clear and accessible. And now you have 4 pictures, A, B, C, and D, and I would like you to put in a chat the letter of the proper text. Which is the proper text in easy to read, in your opinion? Answer in the chat. Yes, the one that has no background is text D. Okay, so this is the easy to read format. It is also important to avoid italics. It's crucial to use the proper size of the font. The recommended one is 14. And the font that you will see most often in easy to read text is Arial 14. We don't write whole words in capitals. We also try to use only one type of writing in our text. We don't underline anything in the text. Avoid colors. If we want to underline something or show that something is important, we put the information in bold. And in this way, we highlight the piece of information and try people understand that this is something that is important and we want them to focus on it and remember. The difference between plain and easy text is also the one connected with images and pictures that we use for easy to read. Those pictures are supposed to support understanding, support accessibility, and help people understand the text. We usually use photographs, drawings, symbols, etc. To illustrate the text. But what is important is to use the same style of images throughout our documents, and also use the same picture or the same image for the same thing also throughout the whole text. So if we talk about, for example, school, and we illustrate it with a building, we should keep it through all the text. So whenever you talk about school, always use the same picture. It is also important to use pictures that are also simple, that are good for people with intellectual disability, that are clear, easy to understand, and proper for the people's age, and the proper for your target. Here you have some examples, and again, I would like you to answer in the chat. So the first group of pictures, the first two of pictures with the cars, which one is easy to read for you, A or B? I want the answer in the chat. Yes, I can see your writing. And B is a good answer, of course. Okay, what about the second pair of pictures? A man reading a book or a paper. Okay, good. Of course, it's B. Okay, now a bit more difficult ones. Which one will be correct here? Okay. I see you have different opinions, and it's really interesting because, in my opinion, it really depends on what the text is about. If we are talking about flood, I personally would use A, because B looks more like a metaphor of something. But this is my personal choice. And again, we would have to check that with our target group about what I will be talking later, yes, during my presentation. So I would personally, choose A. Monica, which one would you choose?
B, because the A1 is too dark for me. You know, we don't know what is going on this photo. So for me, B.
You see, even we have a discussion here. And I think a similar thing may happen with the next pair of pictures. Which one would you choose as easy to read? A or B? I would also choose A. It's more realistic one, yes, and probably easier for a person to understand and to make the text accessible. We'll get back to the flood in a few minutes, because it's really good that we have different opinions on which picture to choose. But before we do it, let me show you some examples on how a text is illustrated with a picture. And as you can see, there are different possible forms. But what we can see in both those examples is that the pictures, the images are simple, with little details, easy to understand, clear. Some people preparing easy to read use black and white pictures. Some people use colorful ones. The first picture does not seem easy, but this is something that people probably often see on their TV, so they can easily recognize it. Yes, the parliament, the way people vote is shown in a very simple way. When you are preparing a text in easy to read, it is also important to mark it, to make it easy for people to find the text and to be aware that the text that they are reading or they are going to read is written in easy to read. This is why it is important to use the logo, you can see easy to read logo. This is the Inclusion Europe logo. I know that in different countries there are like national logos. I would recommend using this one because it's internationally recognized. You can download it from Inclusion Europe website. And on this website, you have information on who is allowed to use the logo and how to use it. And here is the most important standard for easy to read. The most important standard is that it should be at least proofread by your target group. You could write on the text with the representative of the target group and check once, twice, sometimes even more times, if the text that you have prepared is accessible and is understandable for them, if the pictures are okay, if they go well with the text, if the text is well arranged. It is very important. Without following this standard, you cannot use the Inclusion Europe logo, because this is the crucial and the most important standard to check it with the people with disabilities, the accessibility of the text. The names of the people that have checked or proofread the text should be included in the text. So the people that will reach to the text should know that it has been proofread and by whom. And now I will stop sharing the presentation because I want you to go. I have to find it on my screen first. Okay, I want you to go to slido.com and use the code to enter it. So join Slido using the code. Okay, I can see that some people are already there. And I want you to write down the most important rules of an easy to read text. What have you remembered? What have you learned from the presentation today? The sentences should be short. Yes. Avoid abbreviation. Good. Proofread by the target group. Yes. Don't use pronouns, bullet points instead of commas. Avoid negative sentences. Use the same style of pictures. Yes. Easy and short text. Arial 14. Sentences in one line. Not justified text. Yes, exactly. Leave space. No background. No acronyms. Exactly, yes. Easy pictures connected with the topic. Yes, line up if possible. Yes, found Arial 14, exactly. Test the text with PVDs, yes. Explain things further where necessary. Yeah, exactly. No underlying, no colors. Yes. Yes. No block capitals, exactly. The content should start from left side. Yes, perfect. No serif. Yes, good. Yeah, okay. Okay, yes, there's one more person writing. Yes, yes, yes. Bold characters to underline important things. Oh, there is someone else writing something, so I will wait and I will share it with you in a minute. No. Use the logo. Yes, this was the last rule. Yes, to use the logo. I will get back to the presentation for the last minutes. Yes. On Inclusion Europe website, you have a checklist. So if you are working on an easy to read text and you are not sure if you have done it properly, if you have done it correctly, you may go to Inclusion Europe website and check it with your checklist if everything is okay. So the numbers, are the pages numbered? Is the writing Arial size 14 or bigger? Is the text aligned left? Are the titles clear and easy to understand? Are the titles bold? Does each new sentence start on a new line? Are the sentences 1 or 2 lines long, etc., etc.? So when you have your text ready, you can take the checklist and check if you have done everything properly, and you can say that your text is really easy to read. But the most important thing is, just as it has been said, to check it with a representative of your target group, with a person with intellectual disability. What I also recommend, especially when you start preparing text in easy to read, is to work in a team. And this is how we started, how, for example, Monica, I, and other people from our organization started writing or preparing texts easy to read. So before we gave it to people with disabilities to proofread it, first we checked it in our team, discussed it, discussed the vocabulary, discussed the pictures, and worked in a team on it because it was easier. Now we work individually, but in the beginning it was really helpful. So I really do recommend it. Easy to read and easy to speak is not easy. For most of the time, I was trying to speak plain language, easy language, to speak slow and to make sure that everyone can understand me, not to speak too fast and not to use too complicated vocabulary. And it was really difficult for me. It was really difficult to focus and to be concentrated for most of the time, because what we are taught at schools usually is to use long sentences, sophisticated vocabulary, etc., etc. And now we have to switch our brains into something completely different. Yes, speaking slowly, speaking clearly, using plain, easy vocabulary, short sentences, etc. And you really need to practice to be able to do it, to be able to speak in this way, but also to be able to write in this way. So don't worry if you make any difficulties with it, because easy language and plain language is not easy at all. Monica has prepared the presentation. I have presented it. If you have any questions that you would like to ask us, hopefully we will be able to answer them. We can share our experience with easy to read with you, because we have already been practicing it for some time. So if there is anything you would like to ask about, or if you want just to make a comment, share your thoughts, share your ideas, or your experience with easy to read, you are very welcome. Please do.
Thank you, Kasia. I saw in the chat that I think Elizabeth had a question, like if it's not necessary to explain what is easy to read. Was that the question, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we all know what is easy to read language. Probably that we are aware of it because we are part of the project and we are concerned by the topic. But in a general way, of course, if we talk to a person with ID, do we need to explain her what is or is it evidence and they know what is easy to read? I mean, I was, just wondering.
Mm-hmm. So when we work with people with intellectual disability, we tell them what easy to read text is and how to find it, for example, in a website. Because generally, even if it's not done, because it is not, but it's obligatory in Poland to prepare information in easy to read. Each institution by law is obliged to do it, yes, and to put information in easy to read on its website. It's not done.
Sorry,
in
Katie.
Poland.
Private and public, or just public institutions?
Public institutions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they have to do it. They either don't do it or do it not following the standards. So the text that we can see on many websites are not really easy to read. But anyway, we tell people with intellectual disability that they have this opportunity to ask for a text in easy to read if there is information that they want to read but they can't understand it. That they also can look for this text, and wherever they see the logo, they might be sure, well, the quality is different, yes, but they should be, this should be an easy to read text. So we tell people what it is and how it makes information accessible for them.
Okay, thank you. I was on the previous slides, there was, the list of what we've been doing, so the more important rules to use. And I've been typing on my laptop the address, and actually it goes to the general page where I have found a language version for of easy to read standards. It is translated, so it's fine in many languages. I went to the English language, and then it's a large document. I would say that it's an easy to read document, which is a good point. But I was looking for the page that you had on your slide, and I was not able to find it. I mean, did you make your own page with the basic rules, or is there a page in the English version where I can find this resume?
The checklist, you mean?
The checklist.
I'm sure the checklist is on the website because I've seen it. Monica, you have put it into the presentation, so you should know the address.
It's on the website of Inclusion Europe, but not in this page.
It's not on the report.
No. You have to, click the easy to read logo, and everything is there.
I'll find it for sure. Okay, thank you. It's useful, really.
Yes, it's very helpful.
Yeah, it's fine. It's there. And
yes,
the checklist is only on English, but that's fine. Okay.
Yes. The languages differ. Okay, our languages are different than English ones because we are from the different language groups. So these are the standards for English. Most of the countries, or most, maybe not most, but a lot of countries have worked out their own standards for their own national languages. It is also pretty important because, just as I say, yes, we come from different language groups. But still, there are many countries in Europe that do not have their own standards. We also don't have our Polish standards. The standards that we have in Poland are just translated from English. So luckily, there is more and more research on easy to read all over the world. There is, for example, a discussion if the picture should be on the right or on the left. It's also there's also a discussion about the easy language. Yes, that it not should only be the text, but also language, because as you probably know, less and less people communicate via text. We read less, unfortunately. We mostly communicate verbally, so it's also about the way we speak. And what I notice when I observe people working with people with intellectual disability is that we tend to speak too fast, that we use
Okay, so we lost Kasia, it seems.
speaking. And
Kasia, we have some
Okay.
problem. Yeah, we missed you for some time. You were saying
what
that
was the last?
we tend to speak too fast, and and now
Yes, we
yeah,
tend to
okay.
speak too fast.
Yes.
Yes, and it's difficult for people with disability, with intellectual disability, to follow us. And I'm sure if each of us had this experience, yes, when you listening to different kinds of professionals. For example, doctors. Doctors is a good example that Vidas has used. Yes, sometimes it's really difficult to understand what they are talking about to us. And this is also the experience that people with intellectual disability have when we talk to them. Yeah, because we use sentences and the speech that is too difficult for them to follow. There are also big conferences on ETR. I'm not following it at the moment. Each Europe at least one big international conference on easy to read, and I think it's worth following it and checking what is going on in this area.
Elizabeth, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was wondering the same way there is the easy to read language, if there was the easy to listen language, but I was not able to find. I mean, it was basically what you were saying, that it's not only about reading, it's also about talking and be able to understand what the other is saying. In this way, we are talking about communication and interpersonal communication. So basically, we all can win with this improvement of the communicational skills, no matter who is the target in front of you. But I was not able to find easy to listen language or easy to talk language on the website.
I have once heard of a radio station in Sweden, but I will have to check it. So dedicated for people that need easy to listen. Yeah, this is a good expression, yes. But I haven't checked it if it really is there. I have also heard, but I would have to check it, about easy to read papers for people with intellectual disabilities. I know that in Australia there is a library with easy to read text, but also novels for people to read. And this is what I have checked, and I really have seen it. Yes, it really. I mean, they have an online catalog, so you can also check what is available in this library. They are really good. Australians are really good in easy to read.
Interesting. Is it novels? I mean, famous novels from writers?
Yes.
Okay, it's not specific novels for
No,
ID.
no.
Interesting. Thank you.
So there is no rules of easy language that we can find, like written, like we have rules of easy to read. There are rules of easy language? No. Okay. Just
No,
with
but
some-
I think they are quite similar, yes. So instead of saying, there was like there were 2,000 people, you just say there were a lot of people in the meeting. Or instead of saying EU, you say European Union, yes. Or you make sentences short. So most of the rules that we use for writing, we may also use for speaking as well.
Okay, it was curious for me because I thought that saying a lot of people, or it was more subjective, so it was more complicated instead of saying concrete numbers. But it was surprising for me to know that for them it's easier to just give the idea of a lot of people instead of giving a number that maybe they don't recognize as a lot or not. So that was interesting.
It really depends if they know the numbers and the value of numbers. Yeah. Yes, if they know that 2,000 is more than 1,000, then it's okay. But if they don't know it, when you say a lot, then it will mean, okay, it was like a lot of people. Yes. But 2,000, it really depends. So just as it has been said, you have to learn a lot about your target group, what they already know, and what kind of vocabulary you can use with them, and what kind of vocabulary you should avoid.
Okay. Elena, you have a question?
Yes, I'm just curious to know if you have tried to use artificial intelligence to ask to translate a test in easy to read language. If you have tried.
No, we have. No, we haven't. It could be useful, but still you have to proofread it, because artificial intelligence does not recognize context. And so or either you would put this information, okay, for it. So because just as I have said, you have to know the target group. So you would have to put the information about the target group into the chat or anything that you are using, yes. But also, again, just as I have been saying about sailing, okay, you will ask artificial intelligence to prepare an easy-to-read text about sailing, but he or she or it, I don't know which pronoun to use for artificial intelligence, will not realize that these people, for example, are living in mountains and have no idea, or have never been by the sea and have no idea what it's like to be on a sea or close to the sea. Yes. So this is the threat that I see, and this year I was listening to a professor, a Belgian professor, and one of the people that created this artificial intelligence. And the main thing that she said about it is that it does not think critically. So you have to be careful with it. Yes, also with easy to read, because you need a context. Jarek.
Yeah, but I think that the question was very good. I think artificial intelligence will change fast. So in another 5 years, probably will be, a great tool. Of course, we cannot trust it like for 100%. But I think for next project, it's good to remember about that. And about the easy language, I wanna say that the first thing, for those of you who didn't work with people with intellectual disabilities, I think that's the key rule. Generally, if you want to have a successful project, it's like super important to keep it in mind, whatever you are, or you're traveling in Athens or somewhere all over the world. You need to remember that the sentence should be short, understandable, and you have to give a time to translation mostly of our guys. So just if you go if now we will be in Gdańsk and we will be going to the old town, I think it will take 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and you will not understand everything. But if you want to show the same places to our people, I think the time will be twice longer. So if you want to show all those places, of course. So just you need to remember that the process is really different. Yeah. Elizabeth,
No,
you
go.
want to ask?
Yeah, I just
Okay,
after
yeah.
when you finish.
Okay. And the other thing that I don't know, some of you maybe know, we work with our disabled guys on a Searching the Holy Grail project, and now we are working on different sound projects. When they create the content in Searching the Holy Grail, we ask them what was the changing moments in their life, and they create different chapters and different stories. But the key thing was that they set those stories. So they said that, for example, for me, the biggest difference was this, that I'm living alone now with the support of the assistant, not with my mother anymore, and I'm working in the reception, or I was in a therapy workshop or this kind of things. But they are saying it in easy language, of course, because they are creating the topic. So it's not for this project, of course, but sometimes it's important to remember that our guys can be also like a creators of those easy language. Yeah.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Yeah, actually, when Jarek talked about the visit and the fact that probably a visit that would take like 1 hour, or a meeting that would take 1 hour, in this way, if you make it and if you apply the rules that we were talking about, it's going to take maybe twice, like 2 hours. It's a little bit paradoxal. I don't know how to say, but remembering what Kasia said, and it's not about Kasia. I mean, it's something that I thought several times before. What we used to say is try to make a short document, or try not to make it too long, because you will lose the attention and the concentration of the target group. So here, it's a little bit tricky and challenging, because we say, okay, to explain one concept, maybe you will need like 3 or 5 sentences. So it's going to be longer, because you will add some space, remember, or you will add some time, silence, if it's oral. And how can we manage to have something shorter as a matter of document, and when we know that it will take, I mean, the document will be longer, because you cannot have more spaces, more text. I mean, it's mathematically, it's impossible. So maybe those are the limits. I don't know if it's a limitation. Maybe it's a matter of organization. Maybe you decide, I mean, to the objectives, to revise the objectives, and to reduce maybe the aims, because you know for sure that if you make like a 5 hours walking in the city, I mean, apart the fact that they will be exhausted, and I mean, it's not only about the concentration. I mean, the limitations might be also the same that we have. So yeah, it's an observation. Probably, how can we manage then to cope with those injunctions?
If I can
It's
just
very important
answer.
what you have said, Elizabeth, because this is what we always face with Monica, for example, when we are working on a long text. And if you put it in easy to read, just as you have said, it becomes even longer. Okay, so we have to decide first what really has to be there, what has to be put, just like as you have said about it's about the objectives. What is really important, what they really need there, what we really need in the text, because otherwise it will be too long and they won't be able to focus. And when we are talking about speaking, most of us are not able to keep our concentration for more than an hour and a half. It's also already a bit challenging, yes, and it's even more difficult for people with intellectual disability. So you have to make these choices. It's not easy to decide what is really important and what they really should see, or what I really should talk about, or what I should really write about. But unfortunately, it is the way you have to do it. Otherwise, it won't work and it won't be accessible if it's too long.
Yeah, I just also want to say about the previous thing that I said, that of course, if you will go, we will go now to Old Town in Gdańsk, and we will spend 2 hours. We will see many places. So if you would like to solve the same places and explain them to our guys, it will be 4 hours. So of course we cannot do it. We just need to choose at least half of it. We need to make a decision which places that they should see, then explain it in an easy language, and we cannot do the same thing. So it's the same like as Kasia said now. So you have to choose what is really the essential. But I think also, Monica, you can say a few words about volunteers agreement, because that's something that the document is big, and Monica needs to choose what she will choose, because if of course it won't be possible to translate everything. That will be 100 pages or whatever. But I think Monica can tell about that.
I changed
Just one comment before Monica start. It's not, sorry, Jarek, it's not a translation because it's not a different language. Yes, so we don't use the word translate for easy to read. We rewrite it, yes, but yeah.
So I change it every day because you know, it's very hard to choose what is more important. And I have in my mind that it's very, you know, when we sign the agreement, I think everything there is important. So when the people with intellectual disability have to sign the agreement, it's also very important that they know what they should know what they sign. Yeah, so it's very hard to choose the most important thing, and it won't be you know, short document, but I always try to do it. Elizabeth asks about the how long it could be. I always think about 20 pages, no more. No more than 20 pages. So it's not easy. Yeah. I don't have also experience in it, and I can say the same what Kasia said on the presentation, that knowing the people and knowing the subject is very important, because I don't have experience with agreement and project, so I have to ask Jarek or Kasia or Ola if it's important in this agreement, this sentence or this stuff about money, about the obligations, and etc. etc. So it's not easy, and I like to in this text area we have to choose. Workers, we have to choose what is important. But in the example which Jarek said about the see the old town, we can ask also our people. We have many nice places here. What do you like to see? Choose from few you know, few places,
options.
What you want to see, because all of them it won't be possible to see in one day. So in text, I think that we should choose what is important, but in everyday life, we want them to choose. Thank you.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, just to conclude, maybe, I think that probably that when you have like such a long document, probably that the first step would be to make a synthesis. I mean, to be able to reduce the size of the document, and to make a synthesis is to be able to catch what is important. So as Monica said, I mean, she has the knowledge of the easy to read, but it's not only about the knowledge of easy to read, it's the knowledge of the general topic that you are talking about. What is yeah, I think that, and then when you have this synthesis, you can move it to something. So maybe in the way, I mean, the case of this chart, I don't know what you are talking, but I think I have an idea. Maybe that the first step would be that the team help her by making a kind of synthesis with what is important, and then she can move on with the document. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. And it's about recognizing people's needs. What do they really need to know? Yeah, just as this was this example with the doctor. What does he really need to know to prepare well for the visit? So again, what do they really need to know? What is important for them? Yes.
And since we talked about the agreement, as you can see, it is not easy for PSONI and GDC to take the official documents of Erasmus and the European Solidarity Corps and make it easy to read. They are really working a lot on that to understand how it can be possible. And of course that we are doing it in English, and the experts correct me if I'm wrong, but what I understood, we will have it in English, but when we will talk, when we will show it and use it with our PVDs, it should be in their own language. So it's an extra, let's say, effort, because then it should be translated, in this case, actually translated in plain language. So also easy language, exactly. So when we translate it from English to Italian, for example, to use it directly with the PVDs, we need to know the easy language in Italian so they can understand. So it's an effort that I think personally it is really useful to work directly with the PVDs. They can advocate more and know what they are signing, in this case that we are talking about agreements. And this training, I think it gives us a lot of information so we can actually use it in our daily work, in concrete, like practice. So I think it was really, really good to had already some tips during the meeting in France, but now with this first online training, I think we can already put our hands at work and start doing some documents in easy to read and try and test it with our PVDs. And maybe that's why in the public, that you said, Kasia, that in public institutions they should do it in Poland, but not all of them are actually accessible or easy to read. Maybe because they don't test it with PVDs, they just do it like.
Yes, definitely. And because they want to save money, yes, because they don't ask experts for support, they don't ask for trainings, because they say, oh, making a text easy, it's easy. But it's not. It's really difficult to make a text easy, yes? And just as you have said, it can't be translated directly from English, because, for example, Polish and English have a different word order. So you have to rearrange the words, yeah, to make them correct, to sound correct in Polish, yes? If you make direct translations, that will sound weird and will not be accessible and understandable for Polish PVDs, yes? So you cannot save time. I mean, I have to warn you, easy to read is very time consuming. It takes a lot of time. It is really challenging, and you really need time to learn it, and you have to practice a lot to feel fluent, that now you know how to do it. Yes, Monika does a lot of it, so she does it really well now, but I think she still spends quite a lot of time on preparing a text in easy form. Yes,
but
also in Polish, not only in English.
But for this, the purpose of the project, once we do, for example, an application form in easy to read, it's time consuming, but then you can use it forever. So it's worth it. Okay, I don't know if someone else has some comments or questions, or if we are all clear and ready to put in practice all these rules and suggestions. Maybe we can. Yes, Elizabeth?
Yeah, did someone try to make an easy to read participant report? You know, the report.
It's also another output of PRI.M.E. So first the agreements, and then we will do the participant report and certification like Youth Pass and Europass.
Bless on us.
we hope, yeah. We hope, because it's not easy at all, the participant report, but it's one of the goals.
Right.
Fingers crossed for Monica and GDC.
Okay, so I would like to thank you all for being here, for being present. A special thanks, of course, to Kasia, to Monica that worked on also the presentation, to GDC team, Egle and Vidas, and I hope the visit to the phlebologist will go okay. Yeah, we will start to. Oh, so some questions, sorry, where we can find free pictures for easy to read. Yeah, the pictures, there are a lot of sources, no, that we can find. Maybe we can answer
Yes.
this question before we
Yes,
close.
but you really have to make sure that they are free. Yes, or for example, when we cooperate with an institution, and for example, an institution wants us to prepare an easy to read text about how they work, we ask them for their pictures. We tell them what kind of pictures we need, and we ask them to send the pictures to us, and then we put them in the text. We also use the pictures that we make. For example, when we were working on accessibility standards for our city, we had a photographer who took pictures for us. But of course, there are different resources on the internet, but you really have to make sure that they are free and that you can use them. Sometimes I use pictures that are used for augmentative and alternative communication, because there are some websites where you can download pictures for AAC. So sometimes I use them. So yeah, you just have to find your own solution. I know that JDC, they have their own pattern. PSONI in Warsaw, they have a graphic designer, a person that is preparing pictures for them. Yes, but this is expensive. It costs money. Yes.
But for what I know, there are some sources online, and for sure that in the platform and during the PRI.M.E project, we will collect these sources, these links, and we will share with the partnership, but also with the public. Does someone need to be certified in order to make easy to read content?
No, but in Poland, we would like it to happen. I mean, we would like have a training program for people preparing easy to read, and at the end, we would like them to get certificates and make like a national list of people who are trained and certified easy to read writers. But we are working on it. So at the moment, no, there is nothing like that. PSONI does, but in Polish, and yes, for Polish audience. I don't know if there are any. I probably if English. I know that Inclusion Ireland has had some trainings in English for easy to read writing, yes, but I don't know about any international ones.
Just to be recorded, the question was if there are any organizations that offer these trainings.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I think I can thank you all again. And of course that there will be a second training about easy to read, an online training that will be booked for another time during the project. And of course, there will be a lot of material also in the platform resulting from the first meeting in France that we did, that there was some information about easy to read. There will be the meeting in Greece that will be the sharing expertise moment about easy to read, and also the material will be shared with the wide public. And of course that we are going to train and test and do a lot of documents and test with our PVDs and share these suggestions. They are not official documents, but we will give some like good practices or suggestions of documents. We will share it also with the wide public. So thank you so much, everyone, and PSONI and GDC especially, and see you soon, online and in person. Thank you all.
Thank you.
very
Thank
much. Thank you.
Bye.